Yeah. We on the ride, press record, now play. AI tools got me glowing every day. Faceless grind, I'm paving my lane. Me 2 times, yeah, we changing the game. Elevate me to you, vibe is brand new. Built it from scratch, now we teaching you. Hit that sub, let the vision come true. This ain't just...
Before we get too far into this course, let's talk a little bit about what kind of settings you should be using to import and export your videos as you create them. I'm here on the YouTube help support page for the recommended upload encoding settings that they recommend, and I'll quickly go through and describe these, then we'll go into Adobe Premiere and actually show you how those look when you're exporting a video. So to start, for the container, they recommend an MP4. And if you're filming on maybe a Canon camera, or if you're working on a Mac, occasionally you might find a container, which is the extension. You know, if you have, file1.mp4 or file1, you might see .mov. Regardless, you want the container in your export to be .mp4 for the video. For the audio, you want an AAC codec, and that should be in stereo or 5.1 surround. I'm sure most of your videos will just be in regular stereo audio. For the video codec, this is important. You want it to be H.264. And this is still what Google recommends as of February 2019. I'm assuming they're going to start recommending H.265 at some point. So reference this help page and see if they've updated that in the future. But for now, this is the codec that you want to use to compress the video. So the video codec is what takes the uncompressed video or less compressed video and makes it into a smaller, more manageable size for YouTube. The frame rate is just exactly that. When you capture the video on your camera, if you're familiar with your camera settings, you have options like 24p, 30p, 60p, super slow-mo is 120 frames per second. We shoot all our videos in 24 frames per second. That's just a personal preference. You can shoot in 30 or 60 if you wish, but YouTube supports 24, 25, 25 if you're in the UK or Europe, 30, 48, 50, and 60. So the three most common are going to be 24, 30, and 60 if you're in the United States. 60 is going to look a little smoother, but it's going to be less cinematic. 24 is going to be the most cinematic, and then 30 is going to be something like TV. Bitrate is the amount of data that each second of video has, and so you can just reference this chart here depending on if you're uploading in 4K or 1080p. We personally still upload in 1080p. I know most creators probably at this point upload in 4K. We just do not find it worth the trouble to upgrade all of our editing software, our editing computer, our cameras, cards need to be faster, the file sizes are harder to manage. Everything is much more difficult in 4K, and personally, we don't own any computers that can display 4K. Actually, that's not true. Our MacBooks can display 4K. Regardless, we watch videos in 1080p at the very most, and so that is what we upload. Their recommended bit rates are between 8 and 12, depending on the frame rate. And then finally, the resolution and aspect ratio. Resolution is whether it's 1080p or 4K or 720p. The aspect ratio is the shape of the video. And so most YouTube videos and most movies and pretty much every screen you see these days has a 16:9 aspect ratio. The camera you're shooting on probably shoots in 16:9, so you don't really need to mess with this. But in case it is an option, you do not want 4:3. You want 16:9, although I have noticed that YouTube will support now alternate ratios. If you want something wider and more cinematic, the player will naturally adjust to that. So this is actually outdated, I believe. Let's head over to Premiere so I can show you exactly what this looks like, and we'll bring up, I already had this open. Here is our project for this course. I have all of my sequences here across the top, and we're just on our second video here, which is the choosing a title. So I'm in my sequence. If I just go to File, Export, and Export Media, here we are with all the options for our export. If you're using Adobe Premiere, they make this very simple. You don't need to worry about anything. Simply click the preset here on the preset button, scroll all the way down, and depending on if you're shooting in 4K or shooting in HD, simply click it, and then you're done. Click Export, and it's ready to go. If you're not using Premiere or if you're using an older version, the settings are all the same, so let's quickly go through. So the basic video settings here, this is the resolution, 1920 by 1080. So that's the 1080p resolution that we're using. The frame rate we're using is 23.976. And the encoding, I want to get down to bit rate. So the YouTube preset on this has a target bit rate of 16. YouTube, recommends 8 to 12, so that's just a little bit more, but it's not overkill. And then if we scroll over to, click on audio, you'll notice the default format is also AAC. So if your editing software gives you the option of MPEG or AAC, remember YouTube recommends AAC. You can also make sure that the format is H.264. If YouTube starts recommending H.265, that will be an option in the new versions of Premiere, I'm sure, and you can use that as well. But you want to make sure that you're using a compressed codec. For example, QuickTime, if you're on a Mac, will probably be the default as a .mov file. That's just too much, or too big rather, for YouTube to handle. So format H.264, preset YouTube 1080p, choose your resolution, choose your bit rate, and then make sure your audio is set to AAC. Again, if you have the preset, you don't need to worry about this at all. Click export, and there it goes. We'll see you in the next one. Choosing a good title for your video is a critical part of growing an audience on YouTube. Not only does your title tell YouTube what the video is about, but it tells the person clicking your video what they should expect. A good title needs to be both accurate and eye-catching. The word clickbait is often thrown around with a negative connotation. Generally, a video with a clickbait title doesn't deliver what the viewer expects. They're often generic and make unverifiable claims. I did blank, and you won't believe what happened next. Try doing this one simple trick, and the results will shock you. Clickbait of that kind should be avoided, and it is not your goal. Although clickbait titles do often work, the clicks you receive will be very low quality. Viewers will quickly click away, and when they realize you aren't delivering some big secret, they won't subscribe or seek you out for new content. On the other hand, a catchy title is extremely important. You want to catch the eye and pique the interest of potential viewers. You can get away with building up expectations, or in some cases even slightly exaggerating, if your video delivers good content. With that in mind, let's outline a few practical tips for crafting a great video title. 1. Make it unique. A good video title should stand out in the search results. For example, Easy DIY Project is far too generic. It says nothing about what the project is or why the viewer should click on it instead of all the other ones in the search results. Alternatively, How to Make a Cutting Board with No Power Tools tells the viewer exactly what to expect and why they should click on your video. 2. Focus on 1 or 2 main keywords. If you make a video about a product or a technique, you'll want to be sure to include that keyword in the beginning of your title. For example, is the Instant Pot worth buying? This title tells YouTube that your video should be included in the search results when someone types Instant Pot, but it also intrigues viewers. We naturally want to know the answer to the question, is the Instant Pot worth buying? A similar but slightly less engaging title might be Why I Love My Instant Pot. Although it's still an okay video title, it's given away the ending of the video before the viewer even clicks on it. They know you like it. 3. Keep it short and sweet. Although you can expand your title length a bit by using a colon or a dash, keep the main component of your title short and to the point. Is college worth it? That would make a great title by itself. An example of the same title that might be a little too long would be A Tour of My College and Why I Think It's Worth the Money. If you wanted to expand our short and sweet title, you might add a colon and say, Is college worth it? Thoughts from a recent graduate. Or make it even more engaging. Is college worth it? $114,000 in debt and I'm scared. Much more clickbaity, but it's also more relatable. 4. Make it about the viewer. Speaking of making things relatable, you might have noticed there's a theme in our examples so far. The bad titles are mostly about ourselves, and the good ones are about the viewer. Is the Instant Pot worth it makes the viewer ask the question themselves. Why I love my Instant Pot makes it all about you. A tour of my college is all about you and your college experience. Is college worth it directs that attention back to the viewer. In both cases, the content is identical, but if you can put the viewer in your shoes, they're much more likely to stick around and see how the video ends. You shouldn't feel the need to cover everything that happens in your video in its title. The title is just the introduction to what the video will be about. The video description is where you can expand on what the video is about and why they should keep watching, which is exactly what we'll cover in the next video. If the video title is there to engage the viewer, then the video description is there to inform them. Something you have to keep in mind when making YouTube videos is that the majority of your viewers are completely unfamiliar with you or your work. You want to make sure there's some kind of context or background available so that they can get caught up to speed if they want to. Similar to the video title, the video description serves to inform both the viewer of the video and the YouTube search and suggestion algorithm what your video is about. Here are some tips to maximize the impact of your description. Be sure to include your main 1 or 2 keywords or topics covered in the first 2 sentences of your description. Not only are the first few words heavily weighted by the YouTube search engine, but they're also often the only thing a potential viewer will see when they search for a video. Below each video title, you can see there is the name of your channel, how old the video is, how many views it has, and then 2 lines of your video description, the first 2 lines. Use this to your advantage. Don't write in a robotic language. Use sentences that make sense to a reader. YouTube can see through a stream or block of keywords and will disregard them in the algorithm. Write for humans, not for computers. 2. Don't duplicate your title in the description. Between the title and the video description preview on the search page that we just talked about, you have a total of 3 lines to convince a potential viewer to click on your video. Duplicating your title word for word in the description would just be a waste of space. Include the same keywords as we discussed, but find new ways to describe your video. Example, with our title, Is the Instant Pot Worth It? We might make a description that says, I put my new Instant Pot to the test. Can you really cook food faster that tastes better with this $50 kitchen gadget? As you can see, we used the same keywords as our title, but we expanded it and made it more interesting for the viewer to read. After your initial 2-line teaser in the description, be sure to include a biography about yourself. This has been recommended to us over and over by our YouTube manager, and it makes perfect sense. Viewers want to get a little bit of background information on you so they can decide whether or not to trust your judgment. For example, below your description that we just wrote, you could say, I'm a stay-at-home mom with 6 years of professional culinary experience. On my channel, you'll find cooking tips, tricks, reviews, and the latest kitchen gadgets. Now that you've described yourself to the viewer, they might relate and trust your opinion on the Instant Pot more than someone else on YouTube. 4. Include a call to action. Every video you produce should have some kind of call to action at the end of it. You might direct viewers to a book you wrote, or a t-shirt you sell, or an Amazon link to a product you just reviewed. At the very least, you should include links to your other social media platforms and an invitation to subscribe to your channel. If you mentioned any links to other YouTube videos or websites, the description is the place to put them. 5. Use hashtags. If you use hashtags in the description of your video, for example, Meal Prep Sunday or Cooking or Mike and Lauren, your viewers can click on those links and they will be brought to a page of videos that share the same hashtag. Not only can you use this method to increase watch time on your own channel, but even if viewers watch someone else's video and stay on YouTube, you'll be rewarded for that effort by YouTube. A little bit more on that later. As we discussed previously, stuffing your title or your description with a long stream of keywords is not only unlikely to help your video perform better, but it's against YouTube's community guidelines. Instead, the best place to put all of the keywords and phrases related to your video content is in the tag section. Tags are just another form of metadata that YouTube uses to better understand what your video is about and who it should suggest it to. Like your title and description, tags should be both accurate and relevant. Using tags that don't accurately represent the content of your video will not help you, because when your video doesn't deliver what it promised to a viewer, your watch time will decrease, and then YouTube will stop recommending that video to new viewers. So it actually hurts you. So that's the purpose of tags, but how many should you use, and how can you best optimize them for YouTube search? Well, YouTube has no official recommendation on the number of tags it's looking for in any of its online documentation. But during our YouTube partner consultations, our manager at Google always said, as many as are needed to describe your video, which is pretty vague. So when I pressed her a little further, she said anywhere between 6 and 12 tags is suggested. All that to say, I don't have a strong feeling that YouTube really cares about perfectly optimized tags, and I don't think it will actually make or break a video. But that doesn't mean they should be ignored. Here's a few tips we've learned over the years to quickly generate a list of optimized tags. Focus on both keywords and key phrases. The tag field is not limited to just single keywords. You can use sentences and short alternate titles. Anything that will help YouTube understand your video better should go in the tag section. Don't worry about punctuation, capitalization, or preposition. Tags are for YouTube only. They're not for users, and you only have 500 characters. So if you use phrases, eliminate words like the, a, at, on. Cross-reference other videos that have similar content. So if you mention a previous video in your video that you're posting, be sure to include similar tags from both videos so that YouTube knows that the new video is related to the old video. Does that make sense? Provide context. Tags are a great place to tell YouTube who is in the video, what they're doing, and why they're doing it, and when it's happening, if that's relevant to the video. For example, let's look at our Is College Worth It video as an example. A tag section for that video might look like this. Mike and Lauren. Is college worth it? University. Student loans. Debt. Florida State University. Advice. College versus trades. Vocation. As you can see, we make sure to include who is in the video, what topic was discussed, and why there might be doubt, and a little bit of context, like our alma mater, Florida State University. If you want help creating tags, there are plenty of online keyword generators and metadata scrapers that you can use to improve your tag optimization. But personally, I don't think tags influence YouTube's decisions enough to spend that much time, or in some cases quite a bit of money, purchasing those tools. Write tags as if you were describing the video to a friend, and I think you'll do just fine. It would be difficult for me to decide if I think a well-written title or a well-designed thumbnail is more important when creating a YouTube video. On the one hand, the title of the video is what will actually capture a viewer and get them to click on a video. On the other hand, a thumbnail that stands out in the search results will be what gets the viewer to read your title in the first place. In any case, you should take creating thumbnails and titles for your videos very seriously. While YouTube is getting better and better at recommending screen capture moments in your video and auto-generating pretty good thumbnails, I still think it's worth putting a little extra effort into it. In fact, according to YouTube, 90% of the best performing videos on YouTube have custom thumbnails. Now, I'm not exactly sure what they consider best performing, but these are their words, not mine. You'll want to include at least a little text, and possibly use some photo editing software to highlight important parts so that viewers will notice. We personally use Photoshop as part of our Creative Cloud suite to edit our thumbnails, but there are plenty of free options like GIMP or Photopea online. Alternatively, there are a ton of apps out there for your phone or tablet that are more than powerful enough to put, text on a thumbnail and upload it to YouTube. Teaching you graphic design from the ground up is way beyond the scope of this course. However, there are plenty of free tutorials online, or Phil has a Photoshop course that I can highly recommend that will take you from start to finish. Once you feel comfortable navigating the photo editing software of your choice, here are just a few tips to help you optimize your thumbnails for YouTube. 1. Include yourself in your thumbnails. If there's one thing our YouTube manager made abundantly clear in all of our consultations, it's that thumbnails with people outperform those with only graphics. In the early days of our YouTube career, we would design a completely original thumbnail for each and every one of our videos with vector art. As it turns out, that's not the best way to attract attention from new viewers. Include yourself, and ideally the subject of your video in the thumbnail. In the case of our Instant Pot review, a simple counter-up shot with the appliance and your face would be ideal. For our Is College Worth It video, maybe just a selfie in front of your school would do the trick. Overlay a shortened version of your title on your thumbnail. Ideally, only use 3 words or less. Remember that most people are viewing your video on mobile devices, and it's entirely possible that your entire thumbnail that you put all this time into takes up less than an inch of real estate on their screen. The thumbnails that catch my eye the most use high contrast, big bold lettering. For our woodworking project, you might overlay the words, "No power tools," or "My first project," or "Easy cutting board." If I personally saw bold letters in a thumbnail saying "No power tools," my interest would be piqued enough to at least read the title, which would tell me exactly what to expect in the video. Avoid clickbait thumbnails. Although a thumbnail with a half-dressed woman in a bikini might get you more initial clicks, when the video doesn't include that imagery, as it would be against of YouTube's terms of service anyway, you'll lose watch time and the video will stop being suggested because people are clicking away. As you'll learn later in the Grow Your Channel section, subscribers don't really matter, views don't really matter, watch time is what YouTube values the most. Not to mention, if you want to make money on YouTube, your thumbnails, titles, and content should all be advertiser friendly in YouTube's words, meaning they don't use sexual imagery, profanity, violence, or drugs. Use high-resolution images. YouTube recommends that your thumbnails be at least 1280 by 720 pixels, but we personally always just set up our Photoshop for 1920 by 1080, and that has always worked well across all devices. Once your photo editing skills improve a little bit, try to include some depth in your thumbnail. A good thumbnail will have a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. In our case, most of our backgrounds are captures from the video itself, and then the middle ground is the text, and then the foreground is the subject. So if we took our Instant Pot review example, the background would be the kitchen, the middle ground would be our text that said Instant Pot review, and then the foreground would be the Instant Pot itself and our face, so that the viewer knows exactly who and what the video is about. Maybe you've been watching a YouTube video before and a little gray eye pops up in the corner of the screen and the title of a suggested video slides out. That's called a card on YouTube, and you should be using them to suggest new content to your viewers. But cards don't just have to be used to recommend your own videos. You can also recommend someone else's YouTube videos. You can link to other websites that you own. You can link to approved merchandise outlet. You can have polls. You can have crowdfunding platforms. It's a very versatile tool. In most cases, cards and end screens give viewers quick and easy links to recommended videos, where unlike the featured page or the YouTube suggested videos in the sidebar, you control the videos that are suggested to your viewers that you think they're going to want to watch next. End screens are like cards, but they're only available to overlay in the last 5 to 20 seconds of your video, and you can promote up to 4 elements. Those elements can include a subscribe button, links to other videos, crowdfunding platforms, or playlists. There's no reason not to use end screens and cards to your advantage. Even if you don't specifically mention another video of yours in your new video, selecting other videos that might be of interest to your viewers will help provide context. If you're vlogging, you could provide links to the previous and next episode. If you're filming a series, you could include a link to the playlist of all the videos in that series. Or if nothing else, at least offer new viewers an easy way to subscribe for more videos. When crafting end screen and card teasers, here's just a couple of tips. Unless you want your viewer to leave in the middle of your video for context, place your cards promoting merchandise and crowdfunding at the end of your video. The best place to put video recommendations is just as you're wrapping up, and you want your viewer to seamlessly click from one video to the next so that you increase your overall watch time. Don't spam your audience. Even properly used cards can be a huge distraction to viewers, and in my opinion, you should limit the number of cards in your video to 2 or 3 max. Link to videos you know have performed well in the past. If you don't have a specific video that you want to recommend in your cards or end screen, link to one of your best performing videos as a default. If a new viewer finds your channel for the first time and they want to see more, don't send them off to see a video that doesn't put your best foot forward. Use your analytics to find your most popular videos with the most watch time and link to those. Monitor your analytics to see which cards are performing the best. When we get to the analytics section, we'll dive a little bit deeper into cards, but know that YouTube allows you to see exactly how many clicks your cards and your end screens receive. Monitor that page regularly to improve your teasers and suggested videos and make better use out of your cards and end screen. In this video, we're going to put together everything that we've learned and go from project in your video editing software, in our case, Adobe Premiere, and we're going to upload it to YouTube with tags, title, and description, and thumbnail. So we're going to go from start to finish in one example, and to do this, we're going to use a video that you haven't seen yet, which is how to get more subscribers. And so let's go ahead. This is the project I have, and you can see it's already been edited. And it's ready for upload. So what we're going to do is go to File, Export, Media, and we are going to use the YouTube 1080p default as our export, and we're not going to change any settings. If you do not have Adobe Premiere or you don't have this version of Adobe Premiere, go back to our export settings video, and you can see the exact settings you should be using to upload to YouTube. But we're going to export. Okay, so now you can see it is exported on my external drive here, how to get more subscribers. So now we need to make a thumbnail for this video. So to do that, we're going to open up Photoshop, and we're going to create a new project. And I already have a custom size set up, but let's pretend that you don't have that. So we'll call this thumbnail, and we want it 1920 by 1080. And your default resolution is probably 72 pixels per inch. I usually up it to 150 or 300. It just gives it a little more detail, but it makes the file size larger. Click Create. So we're going to need a background for this. So let's go ahead and go back to our Premiere, and we'll pick somewhere where I've got maybe a smile or something. It's going to be hard to find at the beginning. Let's go to the end where I say goodbye, and we'll make our own capture here. No. That's about as close of a smile as we're going to get. And of course, this is just an example that's not actually being posted. So that's going to do for us. I'm going to full screen this. I'm on Windows, so I'm going to open the snipping tool. And I'm just going to capture the full screen. I'm sure there's a shortcut for a full screen. Once we've got the snipping tool, we can click Save on the same here. So we'll say thumbnail capture. We'll go to Photoshop. We'll click Open. Go to thumbnail capture. And this is going to put it in a separate layer or a separate tab, so we want to drag it over. Again, my intention is not to teach you graphic design in this one video. It's just to show you how the steps work start to finish. Okay, now we want to add a little bit of text to this, so we're going to click our text tool, and let's change the color to a nice yellow color. This is kind of our default thumbnail color, and we're going to say get more. We'll make this bigger. It's a pretty sorry looking thumbnail, I'm not going to lie, but the purpose is just to show you how we go from video to upload. So I'm not going to spend too much time on a thumbnail that's not actually going to be used. Sorry, it got the best of me. I had to make it at least look decent. Okay, then just move it up here. Close enough. Okay, file, save as. We're going to put it back in the same place, right with our capture. And we're going to save this as a JPEG. I want to say get more subscribers thumbnail. Click save. I usually make the maximum quality just because screen caps are very low quality images. We'll click OK. Now we're going to head over to YouTube and we're going to click on your name, your account logo, and we're going to ignore what I just said and actually click the upload button. We're not going to need to go to our video manager to upload anymore. Click video. We're going to say upload a video. And generally, I'm going to leave this one unlisted because we're not going to make this video public just as a test. But even if you plan on making your videos public, it's a good idea to make your videos unlisted when you upload them so that YouTube can process the quality. Because when you first upload it, you get only the low quality version until it can process it and make the HD and 4K versions. You also want to make sure that you don't get any copyright strikes. So if you upload a video public and you get copyright strikes, then you don't have time to dispute that. So upload unlisted, go back to our video, how to get more subscribers. And while this is uploading, we get to work on our title, thumbnail, and tag. I'm sorry, it's title, description, and tags. And honestly, how to get more subscribers is not too bad of a title. Let's capitalize things properly. How to get more subscribers on, the only thing I would add would be YouTube. And then for the description, let's describe this. If you're just starting out on YouTube, getting new subscribers is one of the hardest parts. Use these tips to convert new viewers into subscribers of your channel. And then we would have our channel bio, and then we'd also put links to other videos that we recommend or products that we recommend below that. And for the tags, you can see our default upload just has Mike and Lauren as a tag. So let's add a few more for this one. So we want just a variation of our title. So get more subscribers. We want YouTube tips. Actually, just say YouTube tips, advice, how to, viewers, subs, growth. And these are just popping into my head, just anything that I think describes this video. How many do we have so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's add 2 more. Did I put channel already? Nope, channel's a good one. People are going to be searching for that. And let's add views as well, because as you'll learn in this video, views are more important than subscriber, and actually watch time is more important than views. Okay, so we've got a title, we've got our description, we've got our tags. The last thing we need to do is upload our custom thumbnail. So we'll go to our thumbnail, get more subscribers thumbnail, open. And it didn't take that time. Did it again. Okay, there we go. And then the last thing you would do would add it to a playlist. So this one could be under how-to, but our how-to is more about woodworking projects, where we do have a making videos playlist, so that would go perfect there. And for some reason the thumbnail, let's open this and make sure it's what we want. Yep. There it is. And so now we've got a custom thumbnail down here just by clicking that change image. And let's go everything we've got so far. Go through everything we've got. We've got how to get more subscribers on YouTube. Let's make it a little more exciting. Add an exclamation point. If you're just starting out on YouTube, getting new subscribers is one of the hardest parts. Use these tips to convert new viewers into subscribers of your channel. Good. Tags look good. You could spend a little more time brainstorming tag ideas if you wanted. Monetization, let's make sure that we have all of the options selected and that we want to monetize this video. And it is how to. And we do want to allow comments. We can allow ratings. We want it everywhere. We allow embedding. It looks good to me. So at this point, it is unlisted. So we would select done. And we could go to our video manager and see that it is ready to go. So if we then wanted to make this public after we gave it a few minutes to process, we'd click edit. And we would change the public to, or I'm sorry, we'd change it from unlisted to public and click save, and then it would be live to all our viewers. So I hope that helps give you just kind of an overview of everything that you've learned in this section. In the next video, I will go over one of our more popular videos as a case study to see what title and tags we used that maybe influenced that success a little bit. In this video, we're going to do a little case study for one of our videos. I didn't want to pick our most popular or our least popular, just something that landed in the middle. And as you'll later see in our analytics section, I discovered that this video, our Harbor Freight review video, actually did pretty well and continues to perform pretty well to this day. So it's a good example of something that is repeatable and still did well, probably due to the thumbnail, title, and tag. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. So the first thing we'll look at is the thumbnail. Just if you're not into tools, you might not really understand this, but seeing all the colors and the tools at Harbor Freight definitely catches my eye. And then, of course, the logos of the tool manufacturers, Snap-on. Anytime you see Snap-on or Mac or Lincoln in a thumbnail, it always catches your eye because those are known, well-made tool brands. In this case, I'm comparing Harbor Freight, which is a very cheap, often Chinese tool company, to the more premium brands. So let's go ahead and look at the title. Thoughts on Harbor Freight's new premium, quote-unquote, brands. And so this worked, I think, because it puts the idea in the viewer's head that I'm saying that Harbor Freight is a premium brand. And of course, since Harbor Freight is well known for being a very cheap and disposable brand, that's somewhat controversial. So people want to click on the video to see if I'm agreeing with them that Harbor Freight is a cheap brand and can't be compared to the likes of Snap-on, Lincoln, or Mac, or I think it's a premium brand, in which case they'll disagree with me in the comments and let me know that. What I end up doing is saying that while most of Harbor Freight's tools are very low quality, they seem to be making a shift towards more quality tools, particularly with their automotive stuff. And so the video is well received. It's well liked. You can see it has a like ratio of 2,132 to only 137 dislikes. Well commented, 323 comments. And if we go to the description, I have not read this in a while, so let's see how I did. I'm just getting back into the shop after a month of remodeling and listing Unit 4 of our warehouse. I had some thoughts on Harbor Freight introducing premium brands like Vulcan, Daytona, Bauer, Hercules, Doyle, and Earthquake and Pierre in the last few years. So here's what I would have changed if I were to do this again. I would have put this first sentence after I had some thoughts about Harbor Freight. So I'm going to do that now, actually, because this makes more sense. If you're a new viewer, you have no idea that we have a warehouse or that we've been remodeling it, but you are curious about the brands that Harbor Freight has to offer. And here's why this description works, because it catches anybody that's searching for the words Harbor Freight or any of their brands. So if, Bauer are their power tools. If you're looking at a Bauer saw, you're going to search Harbor Freight Bauer saw review. And so this is going to have thoughts. I'm assuming YouTube associates the words thoughts and review together. So if you said Harbor Freight Bauer review, this video would probably come up, even though I'm talking about all their tools in general. And the same thing with the tags, I was sure to include every brand that I even discussed in the video. Harbor Freight, Vulcan, Daytona, Snap-on, Doyle. These are all their brands that they're introducing. The Chicago Electric is their older, lesser quality brand. So someone might be searching Chicago Electric versus Bauer because the Bauer is twice the price. And then this video would pop up, and then you'd get the advice that, yeah, I kind of think that Harbor Freight is moving towards a direction of more quality tools. And that, I think, is why this video performed fairly well. It's pretty broad. It has an opinion, but it's not too controversial. And I think that people want to hear that Harbor Freight is becoming a more premium brand because it means there's more affordable tools for everyone. Let's see. For links in the description, I mentioned a coupon database, so there's the link for that. And then I also mentioned one other video, someone who actually took the whole automotive lift apart and showed all the parts and showed why it's a quality tool. So that is in our description there as well. And then lastly, our promotional links to our course and our newsletter and our Patreon. I think that wraps this one up. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.
All right, Phil here with a case study, something I'm going to be doing throughout this course just to show you how we actually put into practice what we're teaching you in this class and how it does actually work. So in this one, I'm putting together all of what Mike has taught us in uploading our videos, writing titles, descriptions, tags, thumbnails, cards, end screens, those kinds of things, and showing you how it has worked for one of my videos. This one is one of my most popular videos, titles, and essential graphics tutorial in Premiere Pro. You can see here almost 700,000 views since it was launched at this point almost 2 years ago. So let's go into the edit and see what all of the information is. So starting at the top, we can kind of see the thumbnail already. New titles and essential graphics. That is the thumbnail itself. And this, what I found, is a lot more eye-catching than a thumbnail of Premiere Pro itself. Premiere Pro, it's just a bunch of text, numbers, and buttons and things that it's hard to tell what this is about. So for a lot of my tutorials on software, I actually add titles. I create a thumbnail with titles. I also have the logo for Premiere Pro, so if someone's seeing this, they know exactly what it's all about. So just a pretty simple graphic, but it's eye-catching and it works. Moving on to the title. So the title I tried to keep as keyword friendly as possible. So some of the main keywords are titles, essential graphics, tutorial, and Adobe Premiere Pro. So a little background, this tutorial is on how to create titles in Adobe Premiere Pro using a new method, which was in 2017, called the Essential Graphics panel. Now that I'm actually going through this, I think I'm going to just delete 2017 so that people, even if they are in a newer version of Premiere Pro, can use this tutorial because it's basically the same. So that's one good thing while I'm doing this course, and what you should be doing as you go on, you should look back at your old titles and make adjustments as you see fit. So all of these are very keyword friendly, and some of this was just knowing that this was a term that I thought would be searched a lot. Another thing I did was searching on YouTube itself for other tutorials on the Essential Graphics panel in Premiere Pro to see what titles other videos were using. Also searching on Google to see what keywords, what would pop up. So doing that, I saw that all of these keywords would be in a lot of the main top ranked videos. Then in the description, I again use some of the same keywords: titles, graphics, Adobe Premiere Pro, tutorial. The description is very simple. It's not long at all, but it has those keywords in it. So you don't have to write paragraphs and paragraphs of content to basically keyword stuff your description. Just having all your main keywords in your description at least once is important. Then the tags, we can see some of these tags that I use: Essential Graphics panel, title tool, how to create titles in Premiere Pro, CC, motion graphics, Premiere Pro, motion graphics templates. These are all things that someone might search for, and this video would be beneficial to them. So you want to make sure that you're not using keywords that won't actually be good for the viewer, because that's actually going to hurt your video more than help it. I could, add title keywords like some of my other videos that I create, like how to make passive income or how to retire early. Those are some of my other most popular videos, but that has nothing to do with this video itself. And if someone clicked on this video because it popped up when they searched how to retire early, then they're going to be upset and they're going to click off this video. And YouTube sees that. They see that people are clicking away as soon as they start watching a video, and that actually hurts its ranking. Here you can see kind of the ranking of the video for these different tags, which is very helpful to see as well. All right. This is one that this used to rank well, but it's not anymore. New title missing. And this is one I might just delete at this point. But this is something that I, as a Premiere Pro user, that's what I would search on YouTube myself. So when they made this update to Premiere Pro on how to create titles and graphics, there used to be a button called New Title. And so what I did, I searched in Google, new title missing Premiere Pro, and a lot of tutorials about this popped up. So that's why I included this keyword. So really throughout, what you want to be thinking is, what are people going to search for when they are looking for this video? That's really what you want to do. You want to get in the mind of the viewer. And then I also include my main keywords Video School Online and Phil Ebner, which is a good idea to include those basic keywords for your channel in all of your videos so that it helps YouTube make this video show up in the suggested search results when they're watching this video. Lastly, let's just look at the cards and see. Let's save our changes. Look at the cards, which I have one card on this video. And this is a card for the course itself. So it's just the link to the Premiere Pro MasterClass. Super basic. We'll see how it pops up. It says enroll now for $10. And so that's, curious for people. Sometimes I don't have cards directly to a paid product. Sometimes I have it to a freebie. So maybe it's a free course or a free trial or something like that I give away on my own site. But this one is just a direct link to the full course for $10. So if anyone is interested in learning Premiere Pro, they can get access to the full course via this card. Now, what a best practice would be is when the card pops up, you want to say something in the video itself saying, hey, click the card up in the top if you're interested in enrolling in the full course. And that's something I do in a lot of my videos, but I don't believe I did it in this video. So tip one, mistake one of mine is to make sure that you include a call to action in the video itself whenever a card pops up. I know it's a little bit of extra work, but it's going to make your cards more engaging and get more clicks. All right, so I just wanted to show you this sort of case study to see how using keywords and tags and how I put it all together in one of my most popular videos.
Yeah. We on the rise, press record, now play. AI tools got me glowing every day. Faceless grind, I'm paving my lane. Me 2 times, yeah, we changing the game. Elevate me to you. Vibe is brand new. Built it from scratch, now we teaching you. Hit that sub, let the vision come true. This ain't just